Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Ha Tran. I'm a motivational speaker, a navigational coach, and I host this show. The purpose of this is um, to provoking, to actually want to raise a question to provoking your thought and your thinking. Because when people talking about believing and knowing, so I would like to invite you to take the open seat and let me and tell me, what do you think about what is believing and what is knowing? So hi, Stephen, thank you very much for joining us. Jeremy, are you there? Please come take a seat. And Tony, hello Tony, how are you? Kennedy, good morning. Good morning, Jeremy. Thank you very
Morning,
much
Ha.
for having. So,
Sure.
Jeremy, the topic of our talking point is believing and knowing. So, your thought on that, please.
Well, the believing is really important to having a brighter future and achieving our goals. But I think there are some things that we do know. And well, to give you an example, I have a homework assignment for my health coach class that's supposed to be due on Sunday, but there's some glitch in the software system that's saying everybody's homework is late, and I know that's wrong, and so I've had to bring that to the teacher's attention. But there are moments like that where we know we're correct, and it's just a matter of getting confirmation on that. But there is a little bit of a tug of war on that. Sometimes you feel like sometimes you feel like you know something, and then you test it internally, and you realize, well, maybe I don't know that at all, or someone challenges us, and suddenly we realize maybe this isn't as black and white as I thought. Maybe I need to reevaluate this a little bit.
See, for me, believing that is a combination of hope and faith. When you have hope for the future and you have faith to believe in your higher self or the universe. And then when hope and faith marriage, then you have such a strong believing in something. But knowing something is just like and deep down inside of you, you knowing it, because there is no but and end about it.
Right.
So, one of the book that I read, and the example was, if you said that, oh, I believe that there is there is someone for someone. We're talking about marriage or partner. But again, that's the believing that there's someone out there for you.
True.
But when you knowing there's someone out there for you, and that's an entirely two different journey. One, if you just pedal along and hoping and have faith that, at the end of somewhere, somebody waiting for you. But the knowing that someone is waiting for you there, then you speed up the process because you get to someplace else.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
Yeah, when I talk about in knowing in your business or your vision, by knowing that you can believe in that, and you go reverse engineering from what you knowing, the destination, you can work backwards and to find your way there.
Doesn't believing take us to knowing, Ha? What do you think of that? Like with the marriage example you mentioned, I think believing that partner, that person is out there for you, I think for a lot of us that helps lead us to finding that person, and then knowing and realizing and having confirmation of that later.
You see, then your question is valid, because my thinking was, when you believing in, that means you have faith, you believe that thing will going to happen, but knowing that is in the absolute term that it's going to be there, it's going to happen. That's is one is just like you have a 99% chance, and other one is 100%.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Henry. Okay, since that strong believing will lead you to a firm affirmation of knowing it will happen. That's correct. See, because believing is just a 1% short of knowing, because that is the momentum that push you there for you to knowing. Andy,
Hi, my light is
hi.
Hello.
set
What a
by
pleasure to
because
have
I
you this
wasn't planning to
morning.
go on blog, but I'll try to make the best of it. I'll look better than this, but it's fine for today. Yes, to me, believing it's vital, is the essential of anything you want to do. You need to believe in it, and the way you need to believe, or how I believe, that every single cell in my body believes in it. It's true-heartedly believe with no single doubt, and then it will lead to knowing and acknowledging that it's going to happen to you. That's how it got through my life and through my journeys in my life. It just, the power of my believing and visualizing my belief that it's happening in front of me, make me reach what I want to reach today. So yes, believing and knowing, I don't think they verse each other, or they actually work together to get the best out of you.
That's correct. The reason I say believing versus knowing,
Hmm.
because how you distinguish that,
Yeah.
because the way I try to provoking people to
Hmm.
think more, and one is you are go into a thinking, and a deep thinking, and then exponential thinking. So,
Hmm.
so
True.
because there's a many layer on that. When you're talking, I believe and I agree with you totally, wholeheartedly. Believing, and to me, there is a micro
Hmm.
difference that it might not happen, but knowing it's something that they're pretty much at 100%.
Exactly. And as part of mindset, because I've got a lot of clients that say, oh, we're not doing it in our business, or we're not getting clients. And I ask them, do you believe in what you do? Say, oh, yes, we do. It's like, no, go and check with yourself. Don't tell me. There is a doubt deep inside. It's been bubbling down inside of you. Go and find it. Because till you find that doubt, you're not 100% believing in what you're doing. And is the vital for anybody who wants to do anything and succeed in it to go and dig deep? I don't want to hear it. I don't think anyone wants to hear that you believe in yourself. You need to hear it yourself. You need to believe in it yourself to be able to move on. Or there's no point really trying anything because you're stuck.
Yes, and you don't want to be stuck in anywhere, because that is um, that in limbo. When you stuck, and I think that I don't know who said that. He said that the only way to go through hell is to get through it, to go through it. And for whatever that you are, good or bad or ugly, when you are stuck in one place, is that never a good thing. You need to push yourself through that, and to get to another side, or go through the tunnel that is you so want to get out of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle, keeps on going back and back, and just you be running in your spot. So it's a decision that every single human needs to do. What they believe in and how really strong is they believe in what they're doing is vital to me.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, like, see, when you believe in yourself, you give people the I hate just using the word permissions to believe in you, because when you believe in yourself, you act, or the way you behave,
Mhm.
that is, will say to the people that I believe in me. And then easier for the people to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, how can you convince somebody to believe in you?
True, true. That's very true. You reflect your belief, you reflect on everybody, your community, yourself. You should live the truth that you're preaching, that and share your belief, and you act it out among your community or the people you're dealing with. I totally agree, huh?
I hate to using the word authentic, but again, the way
It's
your
been
life
really
is, you live
misused
a
lately a lot.
very, yeah, and it to you, because you cannot make any pretend, because pretending is very exhausting. Just be who you are. People like it or people don't like it, and that the way it need to be.
You can pretend as long as you want. One day you're gonna show up the real you. So it's a journey that's it's not worth traveling, because at the end everybody can see the real you. So you choose.
It's a great issue and a great point. Hannity, I think you made a great point about how deep is your belief? Is your belief just on the surface, or is it, like how I was kind of implying, is it deeply rooted in your soul to the point that it reflects authentically to the world? And I think, a lot of times we feel like we're faking it because we don't really believe it. And there is a saying, fake it until you make it, but that doesn't work with everything. And it's, like you were saying, it's better to be authentic and real and show your true self. And then I think you're going to have a more powerful path of moving from believing to knowing.
It's true. It's true. And as we said, they work together. If you want to believing and knowing together, just work accordingly.
I don't do well with fake it until you make it. To me, that, if you believe in something, do it and become it, because faking it is just like I don't know, and sometimes people need to.
It's not matter of faking it. I mean, the word faking, Han, I think is a bit too far. Maybe work accordingly or practice it. Not matter of faking it.
Because learn incrementally, right?
Because a lot of people that have self-confidence or self-esteem issues, you give them some certain steps to do. It's not matter they're faking to be different people, but there are steps to step up and respond and express their feelings and say the word no to somebody if they need to say no. It's a matter of practicing the skills they already have that they're not in use. So the word fake is a bit puts off a lot of things.
What do you think about that, Jeremy? What Hannah just said?
Well, I would agree to a limited extent, but I think when we're first learning to do something, the very first thing you try to do something like, let's say, your first blab broadcast. You don't really know exactly how it's going to go, and so I think there is a little bit of, you have to tell yourself, I'm going to be self-confident enough to look like I know what I'm doing and sound like I know what I'm doing, and so I mean, with something like that, the first time you try something, there is a little bit of uncertainty and a lack of knowledge or certainty, and but that changes. So I mean, we're all traveling on different paths, and we have these transitions where we have to take that first step. And it's that first step that we, I don't know if faking is a good word, but maybe learning I like better, because you actually get a valuable lesson from it, a nugget that you can take with you and apply to the second time you do something.
I agree with you 100%. It's when you learn something, you imitate the person, or you try to. I mean, the first time I was in Blab, I was watching a lot of Blabs before I hopped on a seat, because I was seeing what they're doing, what the conversation, the flow, the energy. And when I went to the first time I went on the seat, I was like, okay, what I'm going to say now. So I was trying to match the conversation or the tone of the conversation, because I want to be, I'm just trying to be like them. I'm imitating their tone of voice and the energy, because I don't know what I was doing then. And then with practice, it becomes a skill.
So okay, if it's fair for me to say that because of your believing in yourself, how about act as if?
Yeah.
Not faking it, but act as
if.
We're
saying the same
because
thing.
You see the potential is there, and you act your way there. You know what I mean, right? It's just like when you want something and you just elevate your knowledge or upgrade your version from 1.0 to 2.0 in order for you to achieve whatever that you need to achieve, and not faking your way to get there, but act as if. Because when you act as if, it is more of the potential than faking to make it, because faking you are a pretender.
the word faking is, I mean, to me, it's, I don't know who brought this word up and said fake it till you make it. But it doesn't, I don't know, but maybe, yes, pretend, make it till you ace it. There's a lot of, we're all saying the same thing basically, but is the word fake? I don't agree with it because it's fake. What's fake is always going to stay fake. How hard you're going to try, bottom line is going to be fake.
Yeah, as a foreigner, I choose words very carefully. And as the language I speak for myself, to myself, I also choose it carefully. Big, it's just like a big shoe for me to fill. And there's Steve. You know what I mean? Because if I just like most of you, but I have a
Hey, Stephen.
Hi, Steve. I have the luxury of, start from the blank canvas. Then when I start, I pick it up, then I can draw, on that canvas with my creativity. Mm-hmm. With you guys, you already grow up in this kind of language, in the language you're speaking, and that become my language of every day. But if I get beginning to speak the language, I think that is an opportunity for me to choose my word carefully and to convey what I meant to. Good morning, Stephen. Good to see you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Can't hear you. Maybe are you muted?
I haven't met Stephen. This is my first time with him on Blast.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to say, and hi, I'm afraid I don't know your name, Transform Mindset.
Hanadi.
Oh, hi. Great. Good to meet you. And Jeremy, we've run across each other a couple of times.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I wanted to jump in on this because, as Ha just said a moment ago, after I got here, she said she chooses her words carefully. I'm a writer, among other things, and so words are important to me. And this whole idea of believing versus knowing, I think that some of the problem people have with that is the understanding of the meaning of the words. And they often are trying to conflate them, to think that knowing is just a higher level of believing, and it is a different thing. It is, believing is a concept that involves trust and faith. You don't know something, you believe it. It is a step beforehand, and if you choose to trust in something, to believe in it, that is a matter of choice. Knowing, however, is absolute. You are in a place of having the proof of something, and it's hard to describe these things because we use the actual words themselves to describe the terms, and so you say knowing is knowing, believing is believing, and you don't get anywhere. But I'm also a reverend, an ordained reverend, and so I deal in the spiritual world as well. And there is a tendency for people to say, I know things, when they really mean I absolutely believe, or I totally believe, completely believe, and they twist that a little further to say I know when they really don't know. They have an amazing belief, an amazing trust, but that's what it is. It is belief. And it doesn't become know until they are absolute witness to it. And of course, again, that word gets used by the faithful, by the following, improperly, and we tend to get into discussions, and sometimes people get into arguments saying that, well, my belief is so strong, I absolutely know. No, you don't know. You have an absolutely strong belief, but that's where it stops. And it is belief, it is faith. And so that is a separate thing from knowing, from knowledge. Knowledge, and I get this regularly. I get people, but I believe so strongly. I know it's true. Yeah, you believe it's true. And so when we can argue that around all day long, and and some people will have the belief that they do know, and therefore it's very difficult to bring them back to reality, if you will. But I think we need to. I get accused of parsing words sometimes. I think we need to parse words. We need to understand what it is we're saying and where we actually are. The Ha referred to, you have a strong goal, you have a strong belief, and you can work backwards from that and create the reversed engineered plan to get to where you want to be. And that's true, but you can't even apply that if you don't know where you are. And where you are is a matter of reality. It's what you know. And so you have to understand that, and understanding, you can know something is true and not understand it. You can know that if you're out in the sun too long, you'll get sunburned, but that doesn't mean that you understand photons and radiation and various other things that are involved. You don't have to understand things to know them. But it's a good idea to try to understand them and to get the broader knowledge that comes with understanding. So you have believing, you have knowing, and you have understanding. It's a path, it's a direction, and we need to work for it. And I
Raise the roof, do the reference. Thank you.
I absolutely
thank you so
agree.
much. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree that we cannot fake it until we make it. That's important. We cannot fake it.
Yeah, I would like to add on that a little bit. For example, let's say that I'm right now 60 years old. And if they said to me that if I have the opportunity to give the advice to my younger self, what will I say to her? With the knowledge I have of the journey I went through, what accomplished I already accomplished, I can go back there and give the advice to my younger self with such a confidence, with such a compassion, with such a love, with such an unbelievable belief, and with the knowledge of knowing. I can advise my younger self, a 20-some. That is that's what I'm talking about. The believing, that's exactly what I always call him Stephen, but just for that I have to address you as Reverend Stephen.
No, Steve is fine.
Absolutely. You are, the man go after my heart. I believe in that wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Well, it's that whole aspect of going back to your younger self, that really defines believing versus knowing, because if you could do that, you could share your knowledge with the younger self, and we actually do that. It's called children. We teach our children things that we know. And how many times do we say, I just wish that I could transplant that knowledge, the knowledge we want to transplant. So even if we teach them what we know, they can only believe it or not. They can't know it because they haven't experienced it. So again, that just exemplifies the differences. It's awesome.
I come to the conclusion that the younger teenage under 20, you cannot teach them anything because they know everything already. So,
but they are so sure.
I think they know everything already.
Yeah, but it's an important thing to understand that as a teacher. You realize, of course, that for us, all of us here, the four of us here now, and I know that we're different ages, but we're all older, more mature. And when you go to a young person, go to an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old, they are as old as they are. At 16, that is their entire life. It is the same as us. I'm 64, and so I am as old as I am, and I have all that knowledge and experience, and hopefully I've done something with it. But the teenager equally is as old as they are. And why should they look at their life to that point any differently than we look at our life? They have only the sum total of their knowledge. And so to them, it's absolute. It's all they know. It's all there is. And so they do know everything within their own life. And the things that we're going to tell them, they have yet to experience. So what we have to do, I think, is share that information with them in a way that they can believe it's there, that they can believe it's coming, that they can have faith that it's in reality. And I'm not talking about religious things now. I'm talking about practical, everyday, earthly things. And they can, have that trust and that faith and that belief, and they will gain the knowledge as they walk the path of their life. And so we sometimes get frustrated. Sometimes perhaps we get angry when they don't listen to us. They don't accept what we know. But we have to not just dump it on them. We have to teach them to believe it.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell you what to do, Jeremy or Hannity, because that is the wisdom is there. Because that is a different thing for me to see, because because he said, yeah, that's all they know. That is their world, and that's the knowledge they have at that moment. Then now you have such a insight and the compassion for your children, because coming from the place that understand where they're coming from, they love you for it, and you will be so awesome, mom and dad, and you guys will be great.
It's true. It's very true. Thank you for the information.
Yeah, thank you. Because I hope
it's different when you hear it, because I know everybody knows it, that they're 16 or my kids are 5 and 3, and I know but when you hear it again, it's like, yeah, I shouldn't push them that hard. I shouldn't make them, just let it be, because I need to respect the age they're in at this point, because this is their capacity at this point this is the limit.
Yes,
and what
exactly.
I'm sharing with them, when I'm sharing with them, they might not click right now. It's gonna go, but it be stored in the subconscious. When they grow a bit older, I say, oh yeah, my mom said that once, and that's what she meant. Makes sense now.
Yeah.
Share with expectation. Okay, give and share and expect, but don't be disappointed or frustrated if they don't get it. I still do this today at 64 years of age. I still find myself doing something new and being able to do it and thinking, how the heck do I know that? And then I realize my father, who died when I was 18, but who was my best friend when I was growing up, taught me so many things, shared with me so many things. And I remember sometimes being so frustrated, indeed downright angry as a kid who wanted to go and play, and sometimes having to be there to hand him the tools. We grew up on a small farm, and so we're working in chores and so on, and he would call me when he had a project he was doing and have me watch and work, and he shared wonderful things with me. I still remember him. We were putting flooring down, putting subflooring down in a house that my dad was building for us, and I was too young to do anything, but I was sitting there watching him, and I did bring him a bag of nails every now and then, and he was driving the nails in, and about every fifth or sixth nail he would say, "Oops," and he'd throw the nail across the floor and carry on another nail, and I'd say, "Dad, what's wrong with that nail?" And he would show me, head on the wrong end. And he would be holding the nail upside down with the flat head to the bottom, and go to drive it on the point upside down. And he'd say, "See, head on the wrong end," and throw it across the room. Well, that was a silly, crazy, stupid thing, right? It's like telling people that are installing sod to, green up, right? Sod, install it, green up. It's a simple, obvious, everyday thing. But what it taught me was observance. Little things matter. And so him doing that, it also gave me something to do, to go over and pick up all the nails. But Dad, they turn them over, they work. See, he got me thinking, figuring out which way the nails worked. Everybody knows what way nails work. Point down, right? Very easy. But you think, it's a process. And when it's obvious how that process works, on something that's just so basic, then the thinking process gets applied to things that are more complex. And so you can think. So you exercise the minds of the young people. Your children, did you say 2 and 5 or 3 and 5?
3 and 5.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, they are at a learning stage now where they are just sucking in information. They're like sponges. So put the information before them, and don't be afraid to put things that are beyond them before them. Just don't expect them to know them or test for them.
Exactly. I mean, for me, the way I try not to expect anything, because not to expect is very hard as human beings. We're told to expect things as an outcome. And I'm trying with my kids, really, I'll give them what I can, love them as much as I can, and I'm always honest with them and truthful. Whatever they ask me, there's an answer if I can answer. If not, we search for an answer. But I really don't want to expect anything out of them. They need to develop their own life, and I will develop the knowledge with them as they're growing, because expectation can be really hurtful sometimes, because you expect a lot and you'll be disappointed.
But isn't it?
You know what Stephen just said, and let me be a testify for that. I grew up in Vietnam, and my mother passed away a long time, and just my father and I then a house with a lot of people there. You know, my father have taught me so many things, but at the time I don't think he ever thinking that ever go into my head. But if he's still alive today, he will be so proud, because whatever that he said, that is what I remember, and the way his principle, the way he treating people, the way how he lived his life, and you know, I have to say that I'm honor my father by trying to live my life according to his word. And, you know, because at that time, I don't think he expecting for me to remember everything and to be who I am today. But just like Stephen said, he just lived his life and let me watch. And boy, that thing is just instilled into my subconsciousness. And now I came here, when he is not here with me, I'm just on myself, and the reliance that I have growing in me. And now I rely on the memories of my father, the lesson I learned at my childhood. It's very, very important. At the time that, you know, you instill such a value into your children's mind, and whatever that it will store in their subconsciousness, and where the time needed, when you are they will use in it, they will exercise it, and you have done the good job.
True. Very true.
Well, also remember that there are different paths of expectation. Expectation isn't only for absolute success. You can have expectation of your child's success in learning the things that you share with them, even if the manifestation of that learning isn't right now. What Ha just said is the idea that so many things that she picked up from her father, and myself too, my father and her father never expected us to become experts at that moment as children. But they did expect, I mean, they wouldn't have been sharing with us if there wasn't expectation of some gain. They did expect us to absorb that information and rely upon it, pull upon it in the future. And so if you put your expectations in the proper place, just as setting goals, if you set a goal too far out, you'll never get to it. If you make a goal too big, you'll never get to it. If you choose a goal that is truly impossible, then it will be meaningless to you. And expectations fall the same way. You know, if my daughter, when she was 5 years old, wanted to be a princess, a real princess, not just a pretend princess, you know, I may not actually explain to her that she can't get there because, you know, I'm not part of a royal family. Well, I am actually. I'm Scottish, so all Scots are royals. But besides that, but you know, I mean, if I had to explain to her as a child that I'm sorry, you know, the job's already been called for, well, you would demoralize the child. So I have to temper my expectations and my understanding and my knowing with her believing. Right? I have to allow for her believing. So just because I know something doesn't mean I have the right to take away her belief. Right? I can support her belief even though I know something else is different. That's part of the tempered expectations.
She's your princess.
Of course she is. She's my princess, and that's just
She's a good
wonderful.
princess because she's
Yeah.
your princess.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You know, you guys don't ask me for advice, but if I can give you one advice to raise your children, I like what Reverend Stephen just said, expectations. Because, and for me, I expect a lot from my children, but you know what, I will inspect what I expect. That is the key, to inspect what you expect. Because see, if you expect something and you don't follow through, because if your child got to the point that meet your expectations, they want to be acknowledged. You have to acknowledge that, and you have to give them the, the acknowledgement that they accomplished that. But again, if they come in short, that you want to know, what is, how can they meet your expectation, and how can you help them to meet that expectations?
Expect
Please
nothing.
expect from others, but not inspect your
No.
expectations.
Expect nothing, and you will surely get it.
Yes.
Think about that.
It's
Nothing.
Yeah. So you always must expect things. Just don't, and expect high things, important things, but don't be discouraged yourself. And don't discourage the student, the child, the coaching student, the mentoree, whoever it is that you're working with. Don't discourage them if they don't reach your expectations, because part of the blame may actually fall on me. If I don't raise my child properly, if I don't share with my student properly, if I don't give properly, this is where fake it till you make it fails, because you can't fake what you don't know. You can, we're sort of mincing words, but Ha's phrase that she uses which is kind of like pretend, but you can adapt and adopt a persona, a presence, an existence that is where you're going. It's visualizing the path slightly ahead of where you are, but you also have to think of that in terms of what you're doing. If you're charging for your services, you can't charge as a brain surgeon before you've graduated from university. There's various things that you have to learn your craft, and even if you're not experienced in your craft, if you're not expert yet in your craft, an expert or master is a term that comes with time. It's not something that you graduate from university and you're an expert just because you have some studying under your belt, or that you start doing woodworking and you make your first cabinet and you see, I'm an expert woodworker now. No, you're a beginning woodworker, and you need to learn your craft and all of the various applications of it. And then you can get there from here. And so as you go along, you certainly can visualize yourself being an expert. You can visualize yourself being the kind of coach you want to be. Even while you are a coach charging for your services, you still have the desire to move forward. You have the belief that you can do it, and you have the knowledge that you will gain the necessary skills and knowledge yet to come. So those are realities. And when we start to master those realities and understand them and accept them, and whether it's raising 3-year-old kids or coaching 64-year-old guys like me that still learn something new every day, it doesn't matter. The process should be the same.
If you guys allow me for just a moment, because I want to read something on the sidebar here from Tony Iverson. Tony said, I was taught that believing is a feeling of thinking that I might be able to accomplish. But with knowledge, I will know what what I am doing in life. Your thought on that, guys?
Sorry.
I was taught that believing is a feeling of thinking that I might be able to accomplish. But with knowledge, I will know what I'm doing in life.
Well, I know Tony, and I know I know he's pretty accomplished at what he does, and I generally agree with him, knowing where he's coming from. I would say though that he's downplaying believing just a little bit. I would say that faith and hope are where the feeling of thinking that it might be able to accomplish. I think believing goes a step beyond that. Believing is the near certainty, the expectation of being able to accomplish. I think it goes beyond the word might. But I'm mincing words again, and Tony may actually be expressing it slightly different. But knowledge, yes, that's where you are and what you're doing and what you've accomplished. That's the knowledge. I agree fully there.
I'm not sure if Tony was thinking of visualization or not, but I think what Steve said about visualization is just very important with believing, and not just having normal expectations, but having extraordinary expectations of having we have to create our dream life, and then we have to reach for it, and that's what visualization helps us do. That's why it's so powerful.
Yeah, I think that the idea that if you shoot for the stars, you might end up with the moon. If you can accept that, and the moon is acceptable, that's good. And if you set your goal as the moon, does that mean you're only going to get to the space station? You have to see what it is that motivates you. Some people need the motivation of bigger dreams to get to what they're ultimately going to settle for. Other people have a stronger visualization, and they can see the real goal and visualize that and visualize the steps to get there. I think the latter is less wasteful. Sometimes the big dreaming dreaming for the stars so you can get to the moon can be counterproductive. It certainly is very difficult when you are involving family and friends, and that's where a lot of people get hurt and a lot of people get shut down, because they have these big dreams that are what many logical people would call pipe dreams or fantasies, and they need that fantasy, they need that huge dream to be the driving force to get them to where they're ultimately going to get. So there's nothing wrong with that, and family and friends should lighten up a little and give some room for their family and friends to have these dreams, and in fact they should support them. But that's a whole training exercise in itself. But I guarantee that at least one person watching here, and maybe one of the three of us in the seats, actually has had an experience with family where they've shut you down. They've said, "Oh, you can't do that. You're it's a pipe dream. You'll never get there. Don't waste your time." And that's don't give in to that. Don't let someone steal your dream. I tend to be more practical when I approach it, but that doesn't mean I have the right to steal your dream. I'll help you, find the practical steps. And if you need that big dream, go for it. Just go for it. But learn your craft along the way, and you'll get there better.
The great achiever believe in big dreams, and the people who are laughing at your dream that they have not accomplished that much. And if they don't know, and then they cannot see it, and you just cannot allow, they stopping you because they are not you. They don't have the knowledge you have. They don't have the gift you have. They don't have the vision you have. So believe in yourself, because it's important that when you're meeting someone, you're seeking, if you have any situations or advice, you're seeking for counsel, you're not seeking for opinion, because everybody have opinions, and everybody have opinion on their own level. I have a poster that it said that when a giraffe, he is so tall, and then there's a turtle give him the opinion, and he just give the opinion of what he can see that he at the turtle. So just be a giraffe, believe in yourself, and because what you see is the sort of awful scene out there, the turtle not able to see.
Isn't that a wonderful definition of knowing and believing? You know what's between you and the horizon, what you can see. You believe in what's over the horizon. You know, if I didn't believe that that New York was where it is, I would never set out from Kansas to get to New York. I have to have belief that it's there. I have to trust and have faith. But I don't know it's there. You know, I know it was there the last time I visited. I know that New York was there. That's knowledge, but I don't necessarily know it's there now. I must grab this, and I'm going to get out of the seat for somebody else as well. I'll talk to you again. Thank you, Hal.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Stephen. Jeremy, Chuck have a
Yes.
questions. So, do you feel visualizations help only if you have faith in your abilities?
I would not limit it to just that capacity. I'll put it this way. I think visualization can help create the faith that you need, the self-confidence to maximize and optimize your abilities. But I think it's definitely more powerful if it is, if that faith and belief is there and it's a healthy self-confidence. I think then that visualization is more powerful. And we have a lot of realists in the world that are afraid to visualize their dreams and their point B, if you will. We talk about right now we're at point A and we have a goal in mind, a point B. I think we have to have that whether we have faith in our abilities or not. Sometimes we find our faith in our abilities on the journey to our point B. But I think that visualization is it's powerful whether you have faith or not. But I would agree that it's more powerful if that faith and self-confidence is there, and it's a healthy amount of faith and not unrealistic dreams or visions.
Because of faith and in your ability, I think that the ability you have, and then that again we go into the fine line there, trust and believe, and you trust your own ability. Therefore, you can portray or you can visualize. The vista that you see in the far future. That depends on what lens that are you using. In order for you to see the vista a little bit closer, then you have to move a little bit closer. But again, see, you cannot do any of that without your own ability. So, the desire, the ability is almost just like the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
Because you have to see it, you have to have the ability to want it. Because you just cannot want something because it fall off from the blue sky. No, that is deep down in you, the ability, the faith, the gift that your Creator have instilled in you or have granted you that gift.
Yeah, I love that you brought the lens into this, Ha, because we can see certain things with the naked eye, and other things we need binoculars or a telescope to see. And if we have that kind of vision that's beyond what we can see with our eyes, but we can see it maybe with a telescope, and maybe it's far away, but at least we can see some glimmer of hope, of promise. It gives us a target.
That's correct.
It gives us a target.
You see the full view.
Yeah, if we can't see the target, how can we get there? We have to see it somehow, whether it's closing our eyes or, you take an imaginary or real telescope and look at something. If you can see that destination, then we know where we're going. And then we have more certainty inside.
That we're talking about the ability that you have in order for you to focus, and in order for you to really see the distance of your future, because you have to see it in order for you to work toward it. Because if you don't see it, you don't want it. You can never get there.
Hey, Roy.
Hi, Roy.
Welcome.
Good to have
Hi,
you.
Jeremy.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I love your title. Where'd it come from and whose title is it?
Todd's title, I'm sure.
Yeah, but my thing is just to make people think,
Yes.
because sometimes that we just stroll and along our journey, just like stroll in the park, and sometimes that my question, I hope that will make people
I
stop
love
and
it.
think. And earlier, I did mention to Jeremy, I just do not want people to think. I want them just to think, and then to in the deep thinking about what we have said, and then go to exponential thinker, because thinking, because we need to open layer in order for you to see more and to know more and to accomplish more.
I love that, Ha. I love that. That's why you guys are such good friends to me, is because hopefully we all help each other to think, and we don't say, "Oh, I don't like to think. Stop making me think." We love thinking. We love going beyond, right?
Right.
And so it wasn't probably until later in life that I understood the difference between believing and knowing. Because if we are not taught properly, then we will have, well, varied definitions. So I'm taking the fact that you even did the versus, right? Believing versus knowing, that I'm thinking, you're thinking, believing and knowing are two different things. Yes?
Not
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
It is to a certain degree they are
Okay.
different,
Okay.
because when people say believing is knowing, no.
Okay, so here's how I would define it as I have learned it in life. You can believe the truth and you can believe the lie. But knowing, you cannot know the truth and know the lie without realizing the difference. There's a lot of people that believe the lie as truth, but you can't know the lie as truth. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, I give you props for that. Exactly. That is good.
And you don't know how many, I'll call them heated discussions. I will never enter into a debate. I do not debate. Debates are for the birds, because you cannot debate the truth. If somebody wants to argue the truth with me, I'm out. I don't want to sit there and do that at all. So there's a lot of people who believe the lie. Notice that I'm putting the word "the" in front of it, because there's the truth and then there's the lie. Because if people say that there is no truth, you have to use truth to say that. Therefore, it self-refutes itself, right? So everybody now realizes that there is truth. The next question is, what is truth? Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
So for me, there is a huge difference between believing and knowing in that capacity. And I'll just leave it right there just to kind of ponder a little bit for anyone who disagrees or, has a different viewpoint on that. So I'll just leave it right there, because that's really all you need to say. There's nothing really that needs to be said beyond that, because that's the truth about believing. Sorry, I'm just going to be gently
Thank you.
speaking it today. So, I know you guys have been going for a while. So has there been some different opinions or different beliefs about believing versus knowing that kind of counters what I'm saying or agrees with what I'm saying? Where do you stand, Jeremy?
Well, I think there have been some different nuances. I don't know that we've really had anyone disagreeing on this. And I guess I was thinking of these as being adversarial topics. I at least tried to draw them as separate circles, and I kept finding, oh no, this is more like a Venn diagram. You have, you have some intersection between the two, but truth is an important thing. And I think when we get to that point, then we get to the point of really knowing something. And believing takes us to knowing, but it's not exactly quite there, but it's kind of a directional path on the journey. And I think that's kind of similar to what other people have said, although, from slightly different viewpoints, different nuances.
Absolutely, absolutely. This topic right here helps me to determine who I am speaking to when I first meet someone, and the better questions we ask those people that we meet, rather than the superficial ones, like how's the weather, where you live, but going deep into what a person believes versus what they know. It helps me tremendously to be able to assess that person, because that needs to be done. And if I'm speaking to someone who doesn't really understand the difference between believing and knowing, then I'm going to be apprehensive in what they're telling me, because they may be telling something that they believe to be true, but isn't true at all. And that's the big difference, because if you know the difference between a lie and the truth, you can't believe the lie to be true. Excuse me, you can't know the lie to be true, but you can believe the lie to be true. I know it's very confusing. It confused me when I first started to understand this and study it and go, what? But I assure you, once you get past the believing and the knowing part, it now separates truth from lie. And I know I've encountered a lot of people who say, Roy, that's your truth, that's not my truth. No, what I'm thinking they're saying is that's what they believe. Because there's no such thing as my truth and your truth if it's different. One of us is wrong. We can't both be right and still call it truth. It has to be a belief. You believe this to be true, which may not be true, and I believe that to be true, which is true. And it sounds like a lot of double talk, and that's why I just want to leave it right there, because it can be a little bit confusing, but it's really quite simple if you just start with the premise, is there truth? And you always have to say, yes, there is truth, because if you say there is no truth, you're using truth to say it, and then that makes that person think. So if they can get past that, I think they can get into the believing part a little bit better. Because this really is about the future, or that which we don't yet know. Somebody used an example of going like to New York. If you've never been to New York, how do you know it's really there? Do you know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, you either believe the map or you don't, or you rely on your experience.
Right. You believe what other people are saying and the validity thereof. You know what I'm saying?
You want me to share with you what I did? I have a MapQuest printout, and then I have my GPS, and I second guess myself, and I get lost more often than not. You rather believe in one system, because boy, I never learned my lesson, because I said, that my GPS told me to go that, but I don't think that my MapQuest said that. So I just go back and forth, and the yo-yo, and I some place that's supposed to take me less than half an hour to get there took me like 2.5 hours to get there, just because I don't go follow one set of rule or directions. But Roy, go back to what you said. I believe, and I concur with you wholeheartedly. But again, see, I don't pass any judgment on anybody. But when people speak, they spoke volume about who they are to me. And just for me to know, because then again, that's not right or wrong, because that's who you are, who they are, and I will deal with, or I will do it accordingly. Because the more I know about the people, the more, if we are in the business of people business, we are in the place of the connecting with people. The more I know about them, I think that the better for me to make the connection with them. Having said that, if they are wrong or they're right, No, that's who they are.
Well, that's why I like saying that if you don't know what you don't know, then get with someone who does.
That's
Very
right. See,
true.
you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what they know.
Right, right.
Also,
And the follow up to that is like when I meet people one to one, I like to at least put that on the table and ask them this question. So if I was talking to John, I would say, John, do you know that you don't know what you don't know? And hopefully John will say,
that will
yes,
be
Roy, you're right. I don't know what I don't know. And then the follow up to that is Google will do you absolutely no good. Why? Because if you don't know what to search for, you won't search for that which you don't know to search for. So, not knowing what you don't know is huge. So I forget exactly how this goes. Maybe you guys can remember. You know what you know what you don't know, and then you don't know what you don't know. And that part is like 80%. It's like 20% you know what you know, 20% you know what you don't know, and then the 80% or the 60%, sorry, my math is wrong this morning. The 60% in that middle part there is you don't know what you don't know, right? Because no human being knows everything there is to know about everything there is to know. No one does. And when you combine everybody's knowledge, you still don't know what you don't know. So there are things beyond our comprehension. There are things beyond what we can know. So how do we know that which is not knowable? That's the question I put on the table for a lot of people. And depending upon how they answer it on what I do with said person, because I know what I do with what I don't know, but that leads into the spiritual realm, right? That leads into the what we can't see realm.
Right.
see, and the thing is that we know something, and we do more of what we know. And if we don't know what we don't know, we know enough to hire somebody who are specialists and who are the expert and who have the knowledge of that, and that make our productivity is increase tremendously, because you continue to what you do good, what you're good at, and then hire what you are not so good at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. It is 12:32. It has come to our conclusions, and thank you so very much for everyone
Thank
joining
you.
us, and thank you, Roy, for your words of wisdom.
Thank you, Hal.
And Chuck, I miss you, and thank you very much for coming. And Dr. Tom Curran, I hope that to see you next week. And Jeremy, oh, you are just my savior. Love
Thank you,
you.
Ha.
Thank you. And so until the next time, I want to remind everyone that your life worth fighting for. Live your life with no regret. Let your vision guide you, and let your passion lead the way. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye. Okay, so um, Chuck, thank you so much. I love you, and I really appreciate you. Okay, Jeremy, we will meet
Yes.
sometime today.
Yep.
Okay. Before I stop recording, I should thank you, Sabrina, for her generous with her time and her expertise. She's the one that helping me with my show, and now she is go on with her new endeavors. So I will be on my own, and hopefully that Jeremy will come to join me for the last two show on the end of the
Sure.
year. And next year I will do a solo show, which is I hope that I will go back to the Empower by Hope, where I interview the author, speaker, and trainer. Um, with their, there's somebody with a book and when with their activity, with their best of knowledge and what they can give to our viewer. So thank you, everyone. And so I will see you guys later then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.